you for listening in. I'm Tachyon Blue, Kevin McDonald. I've interviewed over 70 people involved with GamerGate, including Alan here. And
Hi.
hey, so right now I'm raising funds to publish it through a Kickstarter
Getting pretty
campaign.
damn close, too.
Yeah, over 90% now. I think we're going to make it. So if you're listening and you want to support this and help put us over the finish line, go to gamergatebook.com or the People of Gamergate on Kickstarter. Anyway, how was your Christmas, Alan?
I did nothing but lazy around. My family is out of town right now, so.
Well, that could be fun too, just having some time to yourself, relaxing.
That's what I prefer to do. I'm an antisocial guy.
Antisocial guy who organized the meetups for.
Well, it was deliberate. I was attacked. I was a lot worse back then. The meetups were my attempt to kind of work on that, and it did not come natural.
Can you hear my dishwasher in the background?
No, I don't hear. I heard an echo of me a minute ago, but that was it.
Okay. All right. Well, you have any New Year's plans at least?
Yeah, I'll probably. My mom's gonna be back by then, so I'll probably spend New Year's with her. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to a friend's. It should be fun. They're hosting a party, but nothing too special, really.
Now, remind me, are you married?
No, single.
Ah,
Maybe I'll meet somebody at the party.
maybe. I should do that more. Go to parties, but everybody that I know, I work at an industrial machinery manufacturer in the office, and so everybody's fucking old there. I think there's one prospect that's in shipping, and she apparently has been looking around, according to my office mate. So I might hit her up if I don't pussy out.
Go for it.
She's cute too, and she's my age, divorced.
Yeah, I met someone who was really cool at a party my friend's brother hosted on Halloween, and we really hit it off. But I didn't ask her for her number. I really should have.
Well, maybe number is like outdated now. Be like, hit me up with your socials, baby.
Yeah, give me your Instagram.
Your Instagram, yeah. That may be a little too forward. She may be going like, wait, does he think I'm an e-girl or something?
Give me
So
your
go Facebook or
Twitter.
Twitter, yeah.
No, she's really cool. She's actually a Kiwi Farms poster.
Oh God.
We were talking about that. So, give me your Kiwi Farms. Give me your Kiwi Farms name.
Oh God.
Be on there.
I think I've never been on Kiwi Farms. I know, I obviously heard about it during GamerGate, but I have a feeling that I would either be insta-banned as soon as I created an account, or they have a block in the system to prevent me from signing up.
Yeah, no, I've never signed up though. Someone there. Do you remember Male Goddess during GamerGate?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he made a meme of me. It says, "This man is your friend. He fights for freedom." It was my name back then, Netscape. And it's got a picture of me.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you were Netscape.
Yeah. So he shared that on Kiwi Farms.
Dude, how did I not remember that? We talked back in the day.
Yeah, we did. Not too often, I don't think. I don't
Real
think
often.
Came on stream. I hosted a lot of live streams back then.
I wasn't as good with live streams back then. I think I did one or two, and then there was one time when on Christmas I said that like everybody was doing it. It was either Christmas or New Year's, and everybody was doing a thing, and it was a GamerGate stream, and I said that I would sing. I am the modern Major General, the Patterson song. Everybody knows. I can't think of the name of it now.
I don't know if I know it.
I am the very model of a modern major
Oh yes,
general.
of course.
Yeah, but I kept waiting for them to invite me in, and after a while, I started drinking, and like never got an invite, and then I passed out, and woke up the next day, and they were bitching about how I never came on stream. And I was like, dude, you never fucking sent me an invite. Oh, but they were mad at me. I remember that like they trolled my account for a while until I started blocking them.
Did you do like the Christmas carols with like Lord Nurgle's group?
I don't think that's who it was. No. I didn't do any Christmas carols. Ooh, that may have been it. It's been so long now, I can't remember. But I do remember getting trolled like hardcore because they were, trying to tell me I wussed out.
Have you followed the discourse at all about the H-1B visas with Elon Musk?
Oh yeah. Vivek, I understand where he's coming from, but I think that he didn't like the way that he initiated the conversation. I think he did it poorly. And so people got the wrong idea from the start. And you know how social media discourse goes. The initial impression is what it is. It doesn't matter how good somebody explains afterward. It's always the first impression, even if it's wrong. So everybody, thinks that he wants to import a bunch of low quality immigrants and shit. It's like, no, that's not what he said.
So are you against the H-1Bs?
No, I'm against the way that they're done right now. They're used to create a glorified indentured servant class. I mean, the majority of them get paid way under market. And so I think that what it was intended to be is not the way it's operating now. So I do agree with them that there should be a fix to that. And I agree with what Elon and Vivek have subsequently said, which is um, that it should be taking in people that are top tier from other countries where they have no mobility, no social or financial mobility. Um, and I'm okay with that. Like I don't like I'm not enthusiastically supporting it, but I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about immigration or really have any strong views. So,
Yeah.
but I think it's interesting. Do you think that Elon is overplaying his hand a bit here? I know that some people in MAGA were upset with him.
Well, he made the mistake of basically threatening the anti-immigrant crowd, which probably wasn't wise. But I do think that they're in the minority in this case. I think that the sort of anti-immigrant, the ones that are really reacting negatively to it are a minority, and they're overthinking their level of actual support within conservatism.
What do you think of Trump's cabinet picks? Have you followed that at all?
I followed some of them. I know that he wanted uh, Tulsi Gabbard to be head of what is it, DIA, head of
Office of what is it? The Director of National Intelligence.
Yeah, DNI. Yeah, and I like that.
I don't.
You don't? Okay,
No.
fair enough. I know there are people who have reasonable objections to it. I just mostly I like her because she's not a typical choice. She's someone who has worked both with Democrats and Republicans, and she's relatively moderate. And I don't see her getting corrupted by the politics that come with being DNI, the director of DNI, or yeah, DNI is director, so the DNI. Well,
Yeah.
what problem do you have with it?
Mostly she's anti-Ukraine. I think her politics, I wouldn't call them moderate. I would say that she's more just anti-establishment.
Well, that's true too. When I say moderate, I'm talking about being in the middle between the two extremes. Um, and that doesn't really make you a centrist. Um, or I guess I should say maybe not a moderate, but she has a history in office of working with Democrats and Republicans, which is why she was ousted from office.
Yeah, do you think she's going to get confirmed? I know that I think she probably will. I think most of Trump's nominees probably will.
I
I wish some of them wouldn't. Mostly, I would mostly be opposed to her. I think and RFK Jr.
Oh yeah, I do not like RFK Jr. Um, he got he got one thing right about or one area of medical circumspect right, and that was about the risks associated with RNA vaccines. And that, there was this big cover up and doctors are being silenced and government was being used to censor or government was putting pressure on private companies to censor private expressions of opinion. So he was right about that. But other shit that he's talked about is fucking nuts. I do not think he would be good as the head of the what was it? Not C was it FDA?
It
No,
was
NIH.
yeah. No, it wasn't an
NIH.
IH. It was HHS altogether, right? Or no?
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I don't. The only thing that I'm happy about with him in that position, assuming that he does get confirmed, which I'm kind of doubting, but the thing, the only thing that I'm satisfied with is that it's an administrative position and he doesn't really make medical choices. So there's a little bit of solace there, but otherwise, I don't think he's right for the job.
Yeah, I'm probably a bit more. I'm not like a vaccine researcher. I've not spent tons of research on this. My impression is that like the medical establishment more or less is of the view that vaccines are safe, and I think that they more or less are the COVID vaccines, the mRNA ones.
Mm-hmm.
I personally have been vaccinated, and I've gotten some of the boosters, not all of them. But I don't. Yeah, I don't think that it's. I don't think it's. They're generally speaking dangerous.
Well, I don't think it's dangerous. What RFK got right was that there were risks. There were risks associated with it that were covered up, which we've now found out. The Congress has released several reports about it. Um, uh, and then the other thing that that I have objections to is that it was placed on the market before longitudinal studies in humans were performed. So we don't know the longitudinal risks yet.
Well,
And
that's because it was emergency use authorized because of the pandemic, though, right? Because of
yeah,
it being
no,
a
I
crisis. Yeah.
I understand, but that's why I object to it. And if it had been really optional, I mean, legitimately optional, um, then fine, whatever. People can make their own decisions. Uh, but because of many of the policies that were implemented, a lot of people, not as much in the U.S., but certainly in Europe, basically didn't have a choice. It was either that or, you know, lose access to society. Um, and when you don't know the longitudinal risk, you don't know the long term risk. I have strong objections to that. And by the way, I'm vaccinated too. Well, it's probably not anymore. I only got one booster. Um, but the reason that I did was it was because of my heart. That was when I was going through heart failure, and the risks associated with dying while I was in that condition were much higher than the known risks of the mRNA vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
So I did it, but it was after conferring with both my primary care doctor and my cardiologist. I didn't like take somebody's opinion online. you know,
No,
I,
obviously, yeah.
I didn't read the headlines and go, oh, Dr. Fauci says that it's safe, or RFK Jr. says that it'll make your eyes bleed and you'll have explosive diarrhea.
Do you have a New Year's resolution? Mine's to have a better work-life balance.
That's a good one. It's an achievable one. No, I don't really do the resolution thing. I stopped doing it when in 2016 I made my New Year's resolution to kiss a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, and obviously
Oh.
that didn't happen.
Oh
Or
no.
it was Houston, Texas. I was going through an HTC stint back then, even though I don't watch football.
And it didn't happen, huh?
And it didn't happen. Who would have guessed?
Darn.
I obviously knew it wouldn't, but that was back when I was going through a phase of making bold attempts. Something else I did was actually I applied for an individual license with the Office of Deferment Control at the DEI for doing research with controlled substances, and they denied it. But I said I'd make the application and give them my best pitch, and they were just like, "Well, you have to be attached to an institution. We don't give individual licenses, even though it says in the documentation that you can get an individual license. They just don't do it."
Have you been playing any games lately? I'm playing Destiny 2 right now, actually. I just started playing it. But again,
mostly Skyrim. I haven't really. Once in a while, I go back to Baldur's Gate 3. But you can only play that so many times, even though it's jam packed with different plot lines. I'm pretty sure I've played every single plot line on that at this point.
Well, maybe if you're listening to this, if you want, you can back, and as an add-on, you can actually play Baldur's Gate with Alan here.
Yeah, you can. Have you had anybody do that?
No, not at all. Well, actually, technically, someone did. They did buy a couple of the add-ons, but then they took them off. So
that
so
might have been when
I finally sold. Oh no, they changed their mind.
Yeah, I do remember looking, because there was a brief period when you were just above 5,000, and then in a day it went back to 4,800.
Yeah, someone pulled out. They took off a couple add-ons and then they pulled it out. Yeah, but that's gonna happen. People, especially at this time of year, they spent a little bit too much, more than they expected. And it's
yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah.
I've had to do that a couple of times, not on yours, but
no,
I did it with Top Hats and Champagne. I was his top donor for a while, and then I had to take it off. That was
like Patreon, or
his Patreon.
Stuff happens. People, it's paying for entertainment or art or other works that you like. It's great, but I understand that a lot of people have real life stuff. So
yeah, and shit happens, or you just decide that you've got to start cutting back on your expenditures.
Yeah.
So
we got our first caller. Yeah, these things are really hit or miss. Have you done these spaces before, Alan?
No.
Yeah, I've done like 5 now, and it's really hit or miss. I guess it's just the ones that I've done that were really successful, I guess, were with people who have big follower counts.
Oh yeah, no, I figured that would be the case.
Yeah, so we had a bunch of people when I was doing it with Archon, the founder of the Escapists, Alexander
Oh yeah,
Macris.
yeah.
Yeah, with him and with Kathy Young, the stream with
Okay.
her, that one was really big. But the other ones, it's really hit or miss. Like the Lunar Archivist, we got quite a few people.
Oh yeah, I like Lunar.
Yeah. And like Hatman's, we got a couple. But like
Oh
Thoughtful
yeah.
Souls yesterday, we didn't get a whole lot of people.
And
So I don't know.
Hatman was
Just
the one that founded Kotaku in Action, right?
technically, David Me founded it, but then he like gave it to Hatman almost immediately after creating it. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, close enough.
Yeah, Kathy Young and I had beef a few years ago. I think she may even have me blocked right now. I don't even remember what it was about.
Really? Huh?
Yeah. It. Oh, you know what? I think it was about because she had like really bad TDS. Uh,
Yeah.
so this would have been in 2016. Wow. No, it would have been a little later than that. Maybe 2018. And she was saying something. She was basically parroting some wild story. I can't remember what it was, and like, she just happened to come across my feed, and I was like, Kathy, aren't you a fucking journalist? What you're spreading like unconfirmed rumors about a politician. It's just, and then we had some back and forth, and I don't think she likes me anymore.
Do you want me to ask her to unblock you?
Oh no, no. I don't even she may not have me blocked. I can't remember, but I do know we had beef. Let's see. Kathy, do you have me blocked, Kathy? Oh, she doesn't. Okay. Maybe I'm just remembering. Maybe I'm just like trying to attribute to her something worse than actually happened. That happens when you have beef.
Well, she's welcome to call in here and fight you on it.
I'd have to remember what it was about. I'm sure it was just like silly, but I remember it was about some crazy story about Trump. It may have been the peeing hookers tape.
Oh, the BuzzFeed story about the P tape.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. She's welcome to come in here and defend herself. I actually go to tweet her out right now. Hey.
No.
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 Yeah. No. So Damien, do you have any questions for us or anything to talk about? I know you've called in a couple times before. I see your. Oh, all right. I'll bring you in.
Is there a chat on this?
So technically, it's not a chat, but do you see like the little speech bubble icon right
Oh,
in your
I
phone?
see it now. Yeah.
It'll
Yeah, I
show
see it.
tweets that people make that are in response to my tweet, and that's sort of like the de facto chat.
Okay. I see.
Hey, Damien, what's up?
Hello, guys. Hello, Alan. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. What about you?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Just noticed there was a space going on, so just dropping in. I heard you were talking about Kathy. I spoke to Kathy briefly during one of Tachyon's previous spaces. If you're not blocked, you might be muted. I think muting is her preferred method of Xing out people she doesn't want to talk to. Like I know I'm muted.
I do that. That's what I prefer to do too. So
Yeah,
I get it.
I know I'm muted, but when we were on the spaces where we're cordial enough.
Yeah. Well, when you're talking
yeah.
live with people, it's a different dynamic. You know,
Oh, it is. It
the
is.
the
Yeah.
sort of rules of civil society kick in a little bit on live streams.
It does. It does. Yeah. I mean, when when I disagree with people, it's on X, previously known as Twitter. It's like it's not really an indication that I dislike the person, because frequently I'll even kind of nitpick with people I especially like. It's just aspects of hypocrisy that I kind of
Yeah.
notice in people I otherwise respect. It kind of nags at me a bit, and
Yeah, that's a
Mhm,
pet peeve for me. Like, it really bugs me. Wet Sprocket and I have gone back and forth on this a bunch.
mhm,
It's something that really drives me crazy.
mhm. Yeah, and I just thought had seen that some of that with Cafe. It's just kind of surprising that for someone, for one of the handful of people, journalists, to give Gamergate a fair shake and actually have a decent understanding of what it was about. Cafe doesn't really seem to be able to take that understanding into other controversies. You know,
Which ones has she gotten wrong?
I think she gets January 6th wrong. You know,
Oh no, what's your view?
well, I mean, I feel a little bit. It's just, she brought it up on the previous spaces, so I feel a little. I don't know. It's a little weird to bring it up without her here. But it's like Alan says. It's like it's different when you're talking to someone, uh, and when you're actually hearing their voice and talking back and forth. It kind of feels a bit rude to give too much pushback, and
No, push.
Yeah,
at the time,
I welcome it. So feel
yeah,
free to
at
push
the
back.
time, I'm like, should I push back more on the stuff Kathy is saying here? So it
yeah,
kind of. I made a point that, in my opinion, um, in terms of a cultural turning point, that we have turned a culture turning point, an important one, and part of the sign of that is Trump's re-election, because the media really tried everything, absolutely everything they could, to make Trump this, this figure of just
like a
on.
mustache twirling villain or something.
Yes, a mustache twirling villain, and anyone who could support him is just a horrible, awful person, and so on. And then,
Well, I don't agree with
yeah,
that second part, Damien. But I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd call
yeah,
him a mustache twirling villain. But yes, I do agree with Kathy on January 6th that he did indeed try to remain in
yeah.
office through a coup attempt and insurrection. That would be my position too.
Oh
Sure,
well,
sure.
this is where I had to shout profanities at you. No,
Well, allow me
I kid,
to,
I kid.
yeah, allow me to politely disagree and offer a different take on it. So, whenever I think of January 6th, I think of the SpongeBob roller coaster meme. Where like him and Patrick are going over like this tiny little roller coaster, and with all this fear and stuff. I think it's so overblown. The whole January 6th thing, it's so overblown, and they know for a fact there were a dozen or 2 dozen federal agents hidden within the crowd, and there's all this
Yeah,
sketchy stuff of like people
I mean,
being.
if you had evidence that like the federal government, that like the FBI or some other agency was like actually behind this, I mean, like you've had years to present it, and multiple
yeah,
congressional investigations by Republicans and by a mixed Republican and Democrat committee.
Mhm.
and we don't have like
Yeah,
we don't know that there were any federal agents. There may have been. We know that there were federal assets. That's the extent.
but like, why were the
Federal,
people there
yes,
though?
federal assets, yes,
But why were the
yes.
people there?
Probably informants.
Um, yeah. Well, people have a right to protest, and I think they're initially there to protest, and you can kind of see these dodgy figures kind of egging them on, and they were also allowed into the building with the
No,
doors
they
open.
weren't though. They broke into the building, right?
They
No,
broke
there
in
there, there
on
is there is
they
video.
broke in
Isn't there
on one
video
end.
of? Yeah, go ahead.
They broke in on one end, and on the other end they were let in. That's one of the big problems with
No, they
January
didn't. They
6th.
didn't let people in though. They
Yeah, they did. There's
no
video of it.
after they were already breaking into the Capitol. Yes, the police did allow people to come into certain areas. Yes,
You're
to
you're
try and
talking
control the
about
crowd.
you're talking about a different side of the building. And this is what I was going to say was this is where people get it wrong because there were like violent people that broke in and attacked cops and shit. And that was on one side of Capitol Hill. The other side, it was just people walking around. You've got cops that let them in. That's the extent of my knowledge of who actually let them in. I know there were.
Well, the people who initially attacked the Capitol, that was the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. Those militia groups that were attacked the Capitol during Trump's speech.
That
And
probably is true.
There. Yeah, the crowd was there though because Trump told them to go there. He told them it was going to be wild, and they were going to go there to protest against the certification of the electoral votes.
He also told them to peacefully.
They're allowed. They're allowed.
Yeah, he
to
did, and then when he realized he knew that they had weapons beforehand too. We know that.
How do we know that?
We know that because the Secret Service informed him that they had weapons. That's why.
So why did they let them into the building then? If the Secret Service, if the government knew people had weapons, why were people allowed into the building? And why are they just peacefully walking along and peacefully staying within lines? They treated it like it was a day out, like a tourist day out.
I'm sure some people did. Other people were violent and were attacking police officers.
Well, isn't there some contention about who actually started it? Like I could swear it's
Donald Trump started it.
No, but he didn't tell people to be violent. He didn't.
Don't make me firebomb your house, Tachyon. No. Obviously a joke. Obviously a joke.
Trump didn't tell people to be violent, though. People have a right to protest.
He told people to go there. He told them that their country was being stolen from them.
I think there's a good case to be made.
That's the case. Do the right thing being to throw out the lawful slate of electors and instead use the fake slates of electors.
Well, it's kind of like how did America begin? With a revolution, you know,
with an insurrection, yeah. With it,
but
some insurrections are good.
If January 6th was an attempted insurrection, it's a terrible example of one. They got into the building. What did they do? They did nothing. They left.
They delayed the certification of the vote, which is what they wanted to do, right? That's why Trump sent them there. So they would delay the vote so that Mike Pence would do the right thing. But Mike Pence refused to do
they did the vote. So what? It's so scary. It was so terrifying.
Do you think that having peaceful transfers of power are like an important part of living in like a liberal democratic society?
I don't think you can always guarantee that that people aren't going to notice sketchy stuff and show up to protest against their government. People have a right to show up to protest against their government, and we know there were dozens of assets. We know there were dozens of assets, like these guys. What do you call these guys that walk about with the masks at different spots?
Oh, Black Bloc.
And they're meant to be these. Yeah, they're meant to be these. Not Antifa. The white nationalist guys that were
those fucking
with the matching outfits. They're such fed assets. Those guys, such fed assets, and you know that the Spook network coordinates with journalists. Like that's almost certainly the case. That they've coordinated against Trump, and they were doing it even before Trump was elected the first time, right? So
I mean, if you have evidence that there was if you have evidence, why hasn't anyone presented evidence yet that it was the feds or it was?
But we do know federal assets were there. So if federal assets were there,
they should be.
And it was an attempted insurrection.
Far right
how did they get all the way into the building? How did they get all the way into the building? Right, Tachyon. And what I'm trying to explain is, it's sketchy. The whole thing, from top to bottom, is pretty damn sketchy. Just like the attempted assassination against Trump is pretty damn sketchy. It's like, how did this shooter get so close? He got so close, and it's like, or is it deliberate? It just raises a lot of pretty interesting questions. But I think there is some discussion about who actually because I could swear I've seen video that shows that it was actually like police who threw the first punch, so to speak, that started on the protesters with violence.
No,
Before-
I believe the first. Unfortunately, I've done like way too much research on this area. But
And yet you're so wrong about it.
Yeah,
I disagree.
I think so.
But I believe the first violence was the Oath Keepers, right? It was them when they attacked the police barricade, or the bicycle rack
So
area.
do you know whether or not the Oath Keepers had Fed assets? Where were the Fed assets? Because we know there were Fed assets. So were they part of the Oath Keepers?
There were federal
I don't know. I don't know about
Okay,
federal assets.
so if they're not disclosing exactly what they were there doing and who they were with, how can we trust that they're not there
I don't know if
to
they have or
instigate
haven't disclosed
in order to
it,
favor
even.
the Democrats? In order to favor because they
So
were
if
because
so if
Obama
this is
and
all just
Hillary
a
Clinton were using the federal government against Trump to spy on Trump even before he was elected the first time. So how and we're supposed to trust that these what these nearly 24 or so assets are playing by the rules on January 6th?
So let's say let's take your scenario, right? Let's say that that it's all a misunderstanding, that Trump he never wanted these people to be violent. He never wanted them to attack the Capitol or to delay the certification of the vote or anything like this.
He never told anyone to be violent. He never said that.
Let's say he never wanted any of that to happen, right? Why is it that after he was informed that they were violent, he did nothing for several hours?
Yeah, he did.
What did he do?
He tried to get.
Did he not come out and condemn violence pretty quickly? That's
after 3 hours,
he tried to get. I think it was military to come in, but Pelosi basically said no, you can't. Pelosi and the chief of the Capitol Police.
No, I know what you're talking about, Alan. So this is from like the Louder Milk hearings, right?
Yeah.
Where Stephen Sund, the chief of police for the Capitol Police, on January 3rd, I believe it was, 3 days before January 6th, he wanted them to send in the military, and he put in a request with Irving and the sergeants at arms for the House and the Senate, and the sergeants at arms, they didn't think, or one of them didn't think at least, that Pelosi was going to go for it. But then they discussed this, but that wasn't Trump putting in this request.
Well, I'm not read enough
as it was happening.
I'm not read enough into it to contend that, so I can't argue with
well,
you there.
it's the thing is I'm not prepared for this. You know, I'm trying to look up stuff, and it's you know, it's like, but yeah, it's just you know, I'm scrolling through things. It's kind of hard.
I completely get it. I would recommend reading the January 6th report. That's where I got most of my information about this.
You know that most of those people in prison, they're political prisoners.
No, they're not.
Of course they
are.
They're
people who attacked the Capitol to disrupt the certification of the vote.
No, they're not.
Some were, but
there's people on video who didn't raise a finger. There's people on video who didn't raise a finger against anybody, and they're spending years in prison. That's political.
Yeah, well, if they broke into the Capitol, then yeah, they should.
They didn't, but they were let in. And we've already established they were let in.
The problem is that you're associating violence to happen in a certain group with another group. Now, I get it. The people that were breaking in...
Okay, Tachyon, GamerGate is a harassment campaign.
Well, that's a positive claim that you're...
It's the same logic. It's the same logic. How is it not the same logic? GamerGate's a harassment campaign because some people are harassers, and we can't identify exactly who's harassing.
I never said that.
But we know some harassment went on. GamerGate's a harassment campaign.
I never said everyone who was at January 6th is an insurrectionist. I said people who broke into the Capitol.
But okay, but that language is. But I don't think that language is entirely honest because we know people were let in. We know people were let into the building by the security and police that were there,
and
we know that, and it's on video.
In fact, some people's
Broke
cases
into the
were
building.
thrown out of.
Gamer gets sent death threats. Gamer gets sent death threats. It's the same
See,
logic.
you're making positive claims, though, right? So you would have to justify those claims.
Okay,
But
so
I
justify the
would
claim.
need to
Justify the
justify-
claim that people deserve being in prison because a police officer opened the doors for them.
Well, if that's what happened, then they can make that
Justify
case to a
years
jury.
in prison.
Right?
Years in
They
prison
did. There have been several
for
cases
walking
that
into a
were
building
that were
that
dismissed.
police let them into and opened
Really?
the doors for them.
Well,
on.
if specific
So what I'm
individual-
explaining to you is you're tarring them all with this brush that people also use against GamerGate.
Yeah, I'm
It's the same
based
logic.
on their actions, correct? Actions that they have taken in the world, right? They've
like
attacked the
GamerGate
Capitol, they've
sending
engaged in
people death threats.
to well, if you have specific evidence of or specific claims you want to make about that, we can talk about specific claims, right?
Well, Anita received some very
I wouldn't
nasty
say-
emails, right?
Okay, if she did receive nasty emails, then that should be condemned. Just like the people who engaged in an insurrection on January 6th should be condemned.
Yeah, but that's what he's saying. You're painting everybody with the same brush. It's similar.
No,
to,
I'm not saying all Trump supporters, right? I'm saying that all the people there on January 6th who attacked the Capitol, yes, those people.
Well,
specifically.
though, if we can say the
Who's
ones who actually did.
Okay, no,
break
that's a
law,
broad brush. That's a broad brush, because we can see that people who are walking around as though they're tourists and not raising a finger to anybody. They're not attacking the Capitol, right? That language you're using, loaded language, and it's the exact same thing dishonest journalists do when talking about gamers and GamerGate.
Well, if
It's
they
the
didn't
exact same
violate
thing.
the law, I don't have a problem with them, right? So,
Well, so you're not going to take issue with it then when Trump pardons a lot of them.
I probably will take issue with it. Yeah, of course.
Well, but they're political. I think they're political prisoners, and I would say that's fairly obvious that they're political prisoners. When
No,
you
I
look
think
at
it's fairly obvious that Trump engaged in an insurrection, but unfortunately,
How
like,
is
don't
that
wanna
obvious?
believe
That's
it.
by no means obvious. He didn't tell them to be violent. These people are exercising their right to protest. So, some people got violent, and it's questionable as to whether or not government assets
Why did he
fed
watch it on
into it.
television
It's
and
questionable
take
whether or not
advantage of
government
the chaos?
assets fed into it, and it's
The-
questionable whether or not the authorities started in on the protesters with violence before protesters were violent. And
Damon,
only
you're not
some of
American, right? Why do you have such strong views about what happened?
because it's the same thing. It's the same logic. Like the language is the same. It's like, you know, yeah. It's like if fuck Jesus, give me a minute and I'll bring up the Gamers Are Dead articles. It's the same fucking language. It's the same logic.
Well, we also have to take into account that several cases have been dropped, or not dropped. They've been dismissed by federal judges on the very grounds that we're laying out here. It wasn't all of them. I think there were like 12 people who a federal judge, it may not be 12, but it was several, dismissed the case against them because there was video of them being let in by Capitol Hill police. Again, it's not all of them.
There's over 1,000 people who've been arrested. Like, I'm sure you can find like specific cases where it's like, okay, well, the judge is going
That's way
to
too many.
But my contention's not even with the January 6th people. Like, yes, I think that they're like bad. Obviously, they should have done what they've done. My contention.
How
is
many
with
of them?
the
How
man
many of
who's
them were
behind
bad?
it all,
Would
which
you
is
say
Donald
you're
Trump.
bad if you showed up? Like to define it more clearly, who's bad? If you show,
like,
if you
probably
show,
different. There's different
or
variations. Like,
if you
yes,
enter
if
the
you
building,
show up, if you show up to peacefully, even peacefully, protest to overturn the results of a free and fair election, like, yeah, you're probably bad.
no, it's bullshit.
Well,
but
That's
like, that's
bullshit.
not criminal
People have a
conduct.
right to protest. People have a right to protest. If people want to protest that they don't
People
like
have the
the
right to
outcome of
protest
the
for a lot of
election,
things.
they can
Not all
protest.
protesters are
How
good,
can you
or
say that's a
protest
bad
for just
thing?
causes.
No, that's bullshit.
Because
I
not all
completely
protesters are for
disagree
just
with you.
causes. Yes,
I completely disagree
but
with you.
we're not. We don't even. We're not
It's
even
not
talking
even
about
about
whether
whether or not I agree with the premise of the protest. People have a right to protest. They
I never
did.
said they didn't.
No, but
I
you're saying,
agree. I'm a free
saying they're
speech absolutist,
probably not
basically.
good people for protesting the outcome of an election, and that's bullshit. You can protest if you don't like the
I
outcome
said
of
they
an
can.
election.
Yeah, absolutely. They can. I don't think it's necessarily good. If the election wasn't rigged, you probably shouldn't try to overturn it through a protest or through violence. Either way,
No, you can
Well,
you can protest it.
let
You can
me
protest it.
let
you
me
can.
point
And
Yes.
yeah,
something out
and
here.
I think yeah. Go ahead, Alan.
Let me point something out here. At that point, and I think this is important to keep in mind. At that point, the role of the vice president in confirming elector slates had not been litigated yet, and it hadn't been legislated. So it was up, and there was a legitimate question at the time as to whether or not the vice president had the authority to reject an elector slate.
So, but unfortunately, though, that's not true because John Eastman, he's the one who came up with this legal theory, the Eastman memo. He actually, he even said, expressly told Greg Jacobs, the vice president's legal counsel for Pence. And we have the emails of this too. He sent him an email too, and he informed him that that he at first he said he thought that 7 of the Supreme Court justices would strike it down, would go against him, and 2 might not. But then, as they talked more about it, um, Eastman later says that okay, no, all 9 justices would strike it down.
Yes, but
So
what I
he
what I
told the president.
said is true, though. It had not been litigated or legislated yet. Now it has. It's been legislated. It hasn't been that legislation hasn't been litigated, but the Supreme Court doesn't have the authority anyway. I don't think. I'd have to look into that.
Yeah,
But
it hadn't been litigated, but Eastman himself didn't think it was legal.
well, that doesn't make it illegal, right? What I'm saying is that question was still up in the air. And I think that's important to keep in mind too, because you're going with the notion that they wanted to overturn a free and fair election in a disreputable or not derogatory, what's the word, pernicious manner.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
But we didn't know at the time, or it wasn't settled at the time, whether or not that theory, it hadn't been legally settled whether or not that theory had merit. And I think that's something to keep in mind. And most people, because they're dumb, don't have the wherewithal to go out and look it up for themselves. So they're taking it on whatever they're hearing, right? So all that I'm saying is that you also have to keep that in mind, that it hadn't yet been settled.
Oh, I think the fact that they knew it was illegal, like that Eastman at least
He didn't.
was of the view that was illegal and informed the president.
Which part was illegal?
He would not have said it was illegal. He would have. Now I can see him saying, "I don't think it's legal," but in law, there's a difference between saying, "I don't think this is legal" and "this is illegal."
And to answer your question, Damon, like what Eastman and Jacobs were talking about specifically was the plan where Vice President Pence could object to the certification of certain states' votes.
Yeah.
I believe it was. It's been a minute since I talked about this stuff, but I think it was like, was it a dozen states basically? It was the battleground states. It was like Nevada, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania.
I don't remember which ones
some
it
others.
was. I
But
know it
yeah,
wasn't all of them, but
they wanted to throw those out and replace them with these other slates of electors. I would call them fake slates of electors. They were not legally authorized by their state legislatures. And the reason these fake electors were there is because Trump and Kenneth Chesebro, I believe it was, and Ronna McDaniel, maybe. Don't quote me on the names necessarily. It's been a minute, but Trump and his campaign had asked people in these specific states to send these electors to the Electoral College and to the no, this is Electoral College to Congress and to the National Archives. So they submitted these slates of electors to the National Archive and to Congress to be basically the ones that Mike Pence would replace the ones that were certified by their state governments with these electors instead. But Mike Pence refused to do that, and what Greg Jacobs and John Eastman were talking about specifically was whether or not it was legal for Mike Pence to do this, for him to unilaterally throw out the slates of electors that Congress has and replace them with these other ones.
Which, when you think about it, if you think about Mike Pence's history, political history, it's, even if it were legal, like even if that were something that the vice president could do, Mike Pence is not the kind of guy to do that. He would never have done that.
But do you think it's bad though that Trump tried to do this?
Oh, what are you talking about? So it's like, okay, I'm reading some stuff here. Is it the case that Liz Cheney was involved with the January 6th committee? I'm reading a tweet about it.
Who, Liz Cheney? Yeah, she was involved with it. Yes.
Oh fuck. Okay. Oh, there's no issues there then. We can completely trust that process. What the fuck?
Well,
what are you talking about?
Why would that be a problem?
Why would Liz Cheney be a problem? I mean, come on.
Why do you think Liz Cheney doesn't like Trump?
Oh, she doesn't like Trump.
Yeah, because Trump's not in their pocket.
Doesn't?
Because Trump's not in their pocket. Liz Cheney's a war hawk.
Could it be that she doesn't like him because he engaged in an insurrection against the United States?
Yeah, but she's never liked him.
No, she's a war hawk, and because she's the same as fucking Hillary Clinton, and they don't like Trump because he's the outsider. That's why they don't, and that's why they conspired against Trump even before his first election.
Well, I don't know about that. That could be true. It might not be.
No, it is true. It's out there. Like if you look it up, they used the FBI to spy on Trump before his first election.
Well, and to answer your earlier question, Tachyon,
and they also, I'm sorry, I'm just going to interfere, but they also used the intelligence agencies to lie about Hunter Biden's laptop, and
well, like, I don't know about,
that it was some sort of Russian conspiracy when it was never a Russian conspiracy.
Well, I don't know
in order to favor Biden in the election.
Yeah, I don't know if they quote unquote used the intelligence agencies to. What you're talking about is the letter that was signed.
Well, the intelligence agencies lied. The intelligence agencies lied.
Well, the Clinton campaign
people who worked for the intelligence agencies specifically said that they thought it was Russian misinformation. Yeah,
and it was bullshit, and they lied.
I don't know if they lied or not.
It's
a lie. They lied, and they do it in to favor the Democrats because they're all on the same fucking team. Hillary Clinton, Liz Cheney, they're on the same team.
Wait, so this is the thing. Like,
against Trump.
American politics today is basically it's not left versus right at all. It's really just this sort of anti-establishment versus like establishment, quote unquote. That's really what it seems to be increasingly. Like this whole dynamic here.
It's
like
always
Liz Cheney
been that way, by the way.
Let's say like Liz Cheney and Hillary Clinton, right? Like the reason that like you would disagree with like both of them is because they're both like pro like the liberal democratic order, I guess, right? Or like they're what you perceive to be the way they constitute it.
Well, they're war hawks that profiteer from, it's kind of like how I think there's a miscommunication because we disagree about the world politics. Like you, for example, you're pro Ukraine, whatever that means. But we can the Biden family has profited from shenanigans in the Ukraine. We can show that there's been a US lab set up in Ukraine.
Well, I don't know about all that stuff.
Yeah, we can show.
I don't think
it's confirmed. It's confirmed.
Ukraine.
It's confirmed that Biden's son was getting paid off by an energy firm in Ukraine.
Well, if they broke the law
Billions
for
and
us,
billions
I
and
don't
billions
care.
is getting funneled into the Ukraine. So much was funneled in that
Good. We should be sending them more money. Yeah, absolutely. Base.
yeah, why not? While USA goes broke, yeah, of course. While they
I
can't
don't think
send
America's
anything to
going.
the hurricane victims, yeah, why not? And but yeah, for the cokehead of Ukraine, as some people call him, right? They lost billions, right?
Hey,
They
hey,
like
it's crackhead.
an accounting error of billions, um, was sent to the Ukraine. So that's I mean, is that not blatant corruption? Pentagon finds 2 billion of accounting errors sent to the Ukraine, right? And we know the Biden family was benefiting from corruption from an
I know.
energy
Well,
company
hang on.
sending money to
We're going
Biden's
over
son,
all over
that
the
the
map here.
intelligence
Okay.
agency in the
So
USA lied about his laptop, and you don't see anything wrong with it. It's bullshit. And you don't see there's no shenanigans going on with these fucking embedded war hawks leading the January 6th committee,
I think
imprisoning
you,
people for
this
years
is a
for
problem. I think
exercising their constitutional
Damien.
right to protest.
Damien. I think you. I think you're getting I think this is a problem. I think you have like a lot of bad information sources.
Reuters? Do you think Reuters is a bad information source?
It
Pentagon.
could be potentially.
Go to Google. Pentagon finds another 2 billion of accounting errors for Ukraine aid. Reuters. Do you think Reuters is a bad source of information?
Not necessarily, but I don't. I wouldn't necessarily say
Okay,
like
then
it's
what the
good or bad.
you
So
know? So I'm
what I
not going to
would
be
say is
patronized too that my sources of information are bad. Okay.
okay. So if we look into this, should we do it? Okay. So look, it could be the case that there are the accounting errors. I don't really care $2 billion if it is or not.
Oh well, yeah. Why would you? Why would you? While
And
people aren't getting
Because it's a
sent
relatively
their
small amount,
aid
but I
in
don't
in
think I don't
hurricanes
think
within the
I don't
USA,
know if
while USA is
accounting.
almost going broke. Why would you care?
What do you mean we just passed disaster relief? But I don't know. Okay, so if we look into this accounting error thing, what are we going to
Yes.
find? Are we going to find that just the money completely just disappeared, error, or are we going to find there's that the money is not being reported because it's part of some sort of specific program that's classified, or they don't want to give too many details about? Let's see. Go ahead and send the source over or post it in the chat here.
Okay, give me a second.
it is a Reuters story. Basically, what I'm reading is that the Pentagon staff used replacement value instead of depreciated value to tabulate the billions in materials sent to Ukraine, and this accounted for 6.2 billion lost money.
Yeah, just a casual bit of lost money. I'm sure it's all perfectly above board and an innocent mistake. The same way you lose a quid under the sofa sometimes.
And CNN reported it to factcheck.org.
So wait a second. It looks here yeah, they realized the error, so that
Oh, of course.
now they're going to use the funding. Now they're going to use the funding to send additional aid to Ukraine, which is based. What do you mean?
Yeah, corruption's based. Of course it is.
It's corruption for
Okay.
it's corruption.
Yeah,
Firstly,
audit. So they try to hide it.
Funding and then.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Okay, so it's based to bankrupt your own country to fund a war that can't be won.
A war that can't be won.
How much ground has even been won? How long has the war been going on?
None.
How many men have died? Is it
Russia
based for
has
people
had
to
a
die?
net gain. Russia's
What do you
had a
mean?
net gain in Ukraine. It's not a lot, but they've had a net gain.
No, Ukraine. Yeah. Well, look, the war is constantly shifting.
Anyway, long story short, you don't know how corrupt the USA is. You don't know how corrupt the Democrats are. You don't know how corrupt the Ukraine war is, and you don't know how corrupt the Biden family has been.
I don't think you know a lot about
Cheney and Clinton, and all of them have been. And you're projecting all this nasty bullshit onto people who are exercising their constitutional right to protest, and you're acting just like the journals who are calling us all this horrible bullshit for participating in GamerGate, because participating in GamerGate is the same thing as signing off on harassment that's being sent to Zoe Quinn, according to them, and turning up to protest your government is the same thing as attacking the government and being violent to the government, and you deserve to be locked up for years. Yeah,
no one's saying
whatever,
that.
Whatever you say, whatever you say.
I never said that. If you obviously have free speech. You have the right to protest, even for bad reasons, right? Bad causes that I wouldn't support. Absolutely, you have the right to protest. You don't have the right to be violent or to threaten violence. Yes, correct. You don't have the right to do those. And if you do those things, yes, you should go to prison. That's my view.
I think that Damien's contention is that the way that you're expressing it appears to be painting people who weren't violent.
Yeah, it's a broad brush. It's a fucking broad brush. Jesus fucking Christ.
Who effectively didn't break the law, painting them with the same brush as the ones who absolutely deserve to go to prison. I don't care if they rot.
I don't know why he thinks that though, because at no point in this.
I'm neither agreeing nor disagreeing. I'm trying to condense down what he's saying.
He just wants to be a victim. I'm sorry, David, but that's what it feels like.
Oh yeah, like the same way GamerGate supporters want to be victims when they say they're not actually harassers, right? Okay.
But I've never said.
No, you're just saying the January 6th people are bad people. And that they were attacking their government, and they deserve
because
to
they
be
were right. Yes, absolutely.
Right. Exactly, because exactly the same way that GamerGate supporters were signing off on death threats to Zoe Quinn, and it's all the same thing, right?
So I mean, if GamerGate supporters actually were, yes, in mass sending death threats to Zoe Quinn, then that would be a condemnable.
Well, that's what they've claimed. That's what they've claimed, and that's what's on the Wikipedia, right?
Yeah, but if there's
if you try to talk to the Wikipedia, if you try to talk to the Wikipedia editors and try to argue anything else, they'll say that they have like 100 fucking sources on their Wikipedia article, and that none of your sources to counter them are they're considered trusted sources.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. I guess who's right in the end. I think that the evidence that people like me are presenting.
I think we will see who's right in the end. I think a lot of the protesters are going to be released. And,
they're going to be released when Trump pardons them. Yeah, probably.
Correct. Yeah. which is a million times a better use of the ability to pardon than Biden pardoning his own son for crimes and investigations going back 10 years. Right.
Yeah.
But don't you think that's an indication of deep corruption within the Democrat Party?
I think it's a deep corruption within Biden, I guess, right? Yeah, sure.
Right.
Looks like we've got one of my good friends listening in now.
Yeah. Do you have a question for us, Ultimate Sexiest?
I'd tell you his name, but I don't know that he wants me to say it.
He's called in before.
Oh, okay. So you know it.
So anyway, will be long story short, this is like it's just like basically it's what's her fucking name? Jesus fucking Christ! Who were we talking about? Kathy Young. Kathy Young, she doesn't have the self-awareness to realize that her Trump derangement syndrome and her admonishment and broad brushing of Trump supporters as horrible people and January 6ers as horrible people is the exact same bullshit from journalists against GamerGate. And she lacks that self-awareness, and that's basically long and short of it was the point I was trying to get around to.
All right, so here's what I'll say. Yeah, I think Kathy Young is right about January 6th, and I think if you were a January 6th person, yeah, you are a pretty terrible person. I do think that, yes, correct.
Yeah, like GamerGate supporters are terrible people.
And exactly. If you were a Trump supporter, no, I don't think you were a terrible person just because you voted for Trump. I think that unfortunately a lot of people.
I think Kathy has went that far. If I understand Kathy's
maybe she has.
But she's not here to defend herself. But if I understand her post, I think
She
Kathy
said
would
that I'll
go that
disagree
far.
with her. Like I disagreed with Destiny when he made his comments about Trump supporters too. I publicly criticized him as well. Like I think that you can
You know, it's like
criticize
I don't see.
him
I
and
honestly don't
criticize
see the difference
specific
between
individuals,
how
but
you
don't criticize them.
characterize January
See,
6th protesters
you scared
and
my
Arthur
friend
Chu
out.
calling people a horde of ravening orcs. You know, for digging up nude photos of Sully Quinta Humiliator, like broad brushing people who would do that with people who are rightfully, correctly skeptical of games journalists, just as people who in January 6th believe they were rightfully, correctly skeptical of an incredibly, what appeared to be to them to be an incredibly corrupt government system. You know. No, but they're horrible people. They're horrible people trying to overturn blah blah blah. It's bullshit. It's the SpongeBob meme, SpongeBob roller coaster meme. It's a nothing burger. Just as the journalist attack on Gamergate was a nothing burger. It's like
which is crazy.
it doesn't match the reality, you know. And people are going to be freed. The political prisoners are going to be freed by Trump, and that will be based. Unlike corrupting the USA to fund a foreign war is not based.
I feel like we've gone around on this subject enough.
Yes.
All right. So.
Okay.
To anyone who's listening to this recording, I am so sorry.
That bastard Damien.
Yeah. Back to Project Today, GamerGateBook.com, or the People of Gamergate on Kickstarter. We're 90%.
Can I bring up a whole other different topic to bring it back onto about games journalism, or are we closing that?
Closing it out, David.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah. Thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you for calling in, Damien. Thank you for anyone who's listening.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Alan, for joining us today and co-hosting this with me.
Sure.
Please back today if you haven't already. And Alan, do you want to have any closing thoughts on what we were talking about, or any other topics you want to bring up real quick before we wrap her up?
Yeah, everyone's wrong. I'm right, and that's it. That's always the case.
All right. Well, cool. Well, hey, have a good night, and to success to the new year.
Yeah, same to you.
All right.